What's up, YouTube? Welcome to the Lumineers Archive. I'm Nathan, a Lumineer626, and let's take a look at our starter decks. Let's take a look at our Sapphire Steel starter deck, which is featuring Aurora, Dreaming Guardian, and without further ado, let's take a look at the Sapphire Steel starter deck. So, this deck is going to be focused around getting high value cards out as quickly as possible and giving you a few control cards in the form of direct damage to help you get there so that you don't get overrun in the early game. Now, you've got a handful of cards that are going to give you extra chances to put cards into your ink. Well, with those being One Jump Ahead and Mickey Mouse Detective, both of those, when you play them, as a card from top of your deck. Now, in a similar regard, you also have Grandma Tala, and she's a little bit different because instead of adding a random card, when she's banished, she'll go to your inkwell. So, because of the fact of how Grandma Tala works, you never want to put Tala into your inkwell in the early game. You will want to play her and make it something that your opponent has to deal with. And if they refuse to deal with it, and you really want that ink, then you can just run her into your opponent's character, let her die, and just put 1 point of damage, and you gained your ink. So, that's going to be a very interesting card to use, and it's going to be one of your better cards for getting yourself an advantage early on. Now, you've also got what is the largest character in the game as far as stats go with Maui. So, if you can get to 8 ink and drop him, your opponent's going to have a very difficult time dealing with them. And so you've also got the ability to hit for 8 without using him through Simba Returned King. And so if you're going in the mirror and your opponent gets Maui out, take advantage of that. Or use some of your other cards in conjunction with your direct damage between Fire the Cannon, Smash, Grab Your Sword, so that you can do the damage that you need to do to Maui without using your own Maui to just trade. But the big thing here is you've got multiple cards that quest for 3 and a good number that quest for 2. So you just need to get to these big cards as quickly as possible, and when you do, take advantage of it. You've also got a little bit of healing in the form of these magic golden flowers. It's not much, but it's enough to keep whatever big character you get out there long enough to really drive your advantage. Now, all the decks do have item cards in them, so you will be able to use your beast to full advantage if your opponent actually decides to put them out. But this deck is not going to be very combat focused. Your main focus with combat is taking out key targets and hitting hard if your opponent tries to take you out. Your real focus is just getting to those big characters and trying to outpace your opponent with questing with these huge bodies. Now, there's what's going to be the very interesting card is going to be your Aurora Dreaming Guardian, because she's going to be your protection for everyone else. Giving everything in your deck ward can make a huge difference. The only character that doesn't benefit from that is Grandma Tala, because you want her to go away. You don't want her to stay on the board. Now, what's going to be a difficult card to use is going to be your Frying Pan. And it's not that it's a difficult card effect to understand, it's timing. because since you only get to use that effect once, you want to time it for when it's going to be best for you. That's going to be very difficult. These other cards that you have, like that, yeah, they may be one-time use cards, but they're one-time use cards that are very obvious benefits that you can clearly know how you can plus your board state. But with Frying Pan only making it so that they can't challenge for one turn, that's a very difficult single effect to kind of decide when's the right time to use it. So that's a bit of a tricky card, and it's probably the only true tricky card in the deck. Now, for what I'd want to get from my pack to update this deck for commons, definitely more Grandma Tala. If I can get more of her, that is probably the single best common pool that I could get out of it. One Jump Ahead, another good card to get for that common slot. Smash, an extra copy of that would be nice. For uncommons, an extra Mickey Mouse Detective would be nice to take it up to the full play set. An extra Dreaming Guardian would be amazing. A fourth copy of Fire the Cannons would be really, really good. And yeah, I think that's all I'd really want to see for uncommons. Now, rare, give me another Maui that I could see a Simba Return King or the Maleficent Uninvited. Like, any of those three would be really good to have as a second rare. Grab Your Swords wouldn't be a bad rare to pull. Like, it would greatly help the deck to get a second copy of that. But compared to those other three, I'd rather get them first. Now, after Gen Con, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to go through these starter decks, and I'm going to take and make a new starter deck version that's an upgrade of these, and see how good we can get while keeping to the theme of that starter deck. And I'm going to try to keep to what the deck is currently doing. So I'm not going to change the strategy of the deck or anything like that. So for this deck, it's going to continue to be a gain extra ink and get into big bodies. That's going to be the goal of the deck. So this is the deck, and if you are playing at Gen Con and you get a hold of this, hopefully you can take advantage of what this deck is designed to do. If you like the content I'm making on this channel, like and subscribe, and then if you have any ideas for any future content, please put it down in the comments below.